let's begin. Nothing breeds success more than success. After the World Cup, you have this new strategy, the National Tourism Sector Strategy. What does that mean?
The National Tourism Sector Strategy is a deliberate policy framework by government to coordinate activities around tourism. It actually brings together the private sector and the governmental sector in the tourism industry.
Since when has a national tourism anything streamlined anything?
You got to, Richard, because if we don't streamline activities at the policy level, because all these activities, they evolve around policy formulation. If you are a government, you don't create enabling environment for the private sector to thrive and to operate. You create very stifling policies. You're not going to achieve the results.
Thandiwe, how are you going to meet these numbers? As I look at the strategy, you are committed to increasing the number of foreign tourists to 15 million by 2020. What's your core going to be for meeting that strategy?
Richard, going forward for us, and in tandem with what government has articulated, as you heard with Kingsley, we are a marketing organization. That is what we are known for. That's what we do. Ours is to bring the numbers. Now, clearly, 2010 was a successful year, and like you said earlier on, we had a 15.1% increase in the figures. And clearly right now, yes, everybody is saying what next. But we already have evidence to the effect that in January of this year, 2011, our incoming numbers were very exciting. From India, Brazil, and China, we saw increases 62, 35, 21.
Is South Africa ready to accept large numbers of tourists?
There's been a significant shift in terms of what is being offered from just simply a wildlife destination to far more than that. South Africa is very competitive as a destination because you have very established operators, you have very established destination management companies. And so, as you may have seen with all the big events that we've been able to manage, we are in a position to do that.
You're not
we have
competitive.
We have the capabilities.
You're expensive long haul.
On the contrary, Richard, we are price competitive. There are areas that you could say might be challenged, but when it comes to price competitiveness, when it comes to price-quality ratio, South Africa, in fact, is competitive. If you look at our competitors, Australia, you look at the exchange, we are, in fact, above them.
Dr. Sidhu, at the end of the day, most of tourism, particularly in a country like South Africa, does surround small and medium-sized enterprises who often get left out, but actually are more often, particularly in many of the wildlife industries, are the core of the business.
It is a known fact the world over that small enterprises are actually the core driver of many of the economies. And similarly to the rest of the world, our small enterprises in South Africa, particularly in the tourism sector, represent a huge opportunity that we cannot ignore.
The Chinese market, 96% of the domestic tourism in China, of the tourism in China is domestic. Brazil has the same thing. The United States has the same approach. Why don't we focus on stimulating our domestic market? And people keep on saying, well, because here there's poverty, we don't have money. But if you look at the per capita income, you realize that South Africa is much higher than China. So there is a need to focus on the domestic market. And it's going to precisely feed into what he's saying. The middle hotels and so on are going to benefit out of the domestic market. So there is a need to stimulate this market. It's not going to happen on its own.